everyone, and welcome to Willow Talk for another episode. Adam Peacock here, and over there being India, Alyssa Healy joining us. Heels, how are World Cup preparations going? Good morning.
Morning. World Cup preps are well underway. We had a tricky little series against India on some of the flatter wickets that we've played our cricketing careers on. So that was good fun, but it's sort of World Cup mode now. I think all the teams are starting to filter in, and we're having a few days off in Bangalore, which has been really nice.
Yeah, we'll get to that amazing scorecard in a moment, and what you're going to do to relax and unwind before another warm-up game against England, which is on the way this weekend, and then the World Cup starting. We'll also, in this episode, catch up with Ross Taylor, the Kiwi legend. He's about to trot off on an adventure himself. He's going to play heels for Samoa and try and qualify for a T20 World Cup. He's doing a Joe Burns, like Burnsy's done with, or Burnsalino as he's known now, has done with Italy. That Ross is going back to his mother's heritage, born in Samoa, and representing them. Pretty cool story, huh?
It's so cool. I think so often as, international cricketers, we're often pushed for time to give back to the game, and sometimes you feel like, well, I need to go back to clubland or do something like that and give back to, a sport that's given us a lot. But I think for some of these guys to be able to give back in a different sense and go and share their knowledge, their expertise with, some of these nations that are up and coming, I think is really cool. So I'm really excited to watch that unfold. But hopefully he's done some high-speed running, or maybe he'll just hit sixes, so he'll be okay. But it's going to be a fun watch at least.
He can hit sixes. I'm going to get to this little thing that we've stumbled upon of him playing in India on this indoor series. I don't know what it was, and it didn't look like the boundaries were too far back. And also going to bring up, of course, him just swatting away Mitch bowling at 160.4 k's an hour that day at the WACA, like Mitch was bowling at 130 k's an hour. He handled that nicely, didn't he?
Good player. Yeah.
Very good play. Very good play. We're going to finish with sundries as well, as England have named their Ashes squad. One intriguing selection that we'll touch on a bit later. And Ravi Ashwin is closing in on a BBL contract. So no doubt Heels will nominate him for a certain shade of magenta for this summer coming. Make sure you check out our social media channels at Willow Talk Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Check out the YouTube channel as well for our full-length videos, and leave a review on Spotify and Apple, and feel free to send us a message out on socials like Kieran has done, Heels. Kieran's written, my son Jules is 13 and a keeper, and Heels is his favourite player. On you, Jules. He plays rep cricket with some fast bowlers and has fractured a finger every year. Is this normal or unlucky? Any tips how to avoid finger injuries? Goes on to say, love the pod and can't wait for the Ashes. But good question. Bit of advice if you can hand it out, if you will, Heels.
Yeah, good question. I think there is a little bit of luck to that. That's a little bit unlucky, I feel, to do one every single year. It's sort of on the odd occasion for us, but there's not a whole heap you could do about it. I guess you could probably preempt it a little bit and go down a little bit of the tape, a little bit of the cotton wool path to try and protect them a little bit more. Make sure your inners are probably suitable enough to do that if the bowlers are a little bit quick. But unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about it. All you can really do is watch it into the middle of your hands and hope that they get the job done. So keep working hard, I'd suggest.
Any drills that a young keeper can do with a tennis ball on a wall or anything like that to, like do it from a foot away, 2 feet away, 3 feet away? I don't know. Making stuff up here.
Yeah, you are. But so the tennis ball can work. The traditional old golf ball off the concrete wall in the garage or down at the local park is actually a good one as well, because whilst it's still hard, it's a lot smaller. So I think whilst it feels like it should be easy to catch, you actually have to watch that quite a long way into your hands and actually be really precise with your catching movements. So that's a really good one to practice because, if that one gets you on the finger, it does sting a little bit. So it's a good one to track the ball all the way in. But, if you're having trouble with some fingers and being sore, tennis balls are a good way to get your drill work in still, obviously, and it doesn't hurt as much. So a lot of I know myself, I like to catch as much cricket ball as what I can, but more often than not, some of the coaches hit a lot of tennis balls. We got a slightly heavier red tennis ball that we use, and I just catch that in my inners, and that's good practice, like I said, to ensure that I'm watching the ball all the way into my glove. So that's a really good training drill as well.
There you go. All keepers around the place, young and old, now that you're out there for this summer on the weekends. Do what Heel says and prepare accordingly. And that's what you're doing in India right now, Heels, ahead of this 50-over World Cup for your magnificent side. So in terms of, how to prepare for these tournaments, is the prep going to plan? Everything's on track?
Yeah, I think probably the series over here has been a good one for us. We haven't played a lot of 50-over cricket for a while, and whilst the girls have been sort of scattered around, whether it be in the UK or here back home in Australia playing some Aus A stuff, we haven't been together as a side. So I think that was a really good opportunity to do that together, and also got out relatively unscathed. Obviously, we lost Grace Harris in the last fixture, and she's been ruled out of the World Cup. But I think from a preparation point of view, everybody got the work that they needed in. We got a few niggles out of it, and I think if you can get them out of the way early enough, knowing that conditions are tough, it's hot, it's humid, 50-over cricket isn't easy on your body either. So the fact that everyone sort of ended up getting a role, I thought was really important. So as far as preparations go, we've been really lucky, and hopefully, it's put us in good stead for some different conditions. I think we're not going to potentially get what we got in that series. We got 3 pretty flat wickets in Chandigarh and Delhi, but I think, going to Sri Lanka is going to throw a few different propositions up at us. So I think we're well prepared for that.
Just on Grace not being part of the World Cup, firstly and flippantly, how has that changed the energy levels in the dressing room? But more importantly, what's it done to the balance of the side and having her as such a great option?
Yeah, it's a bit sad actually. I did distinctly remember saying the other day to stand next to Sean Flegler, and all I could hear in the background of the change room when Moons was going nuts with the bat was Grace laughing and carrying on. And I said, geez, it's good to have Gracie back in the change room. It feels like it's been a little while, especially in one-day cricket. She's obviously around our T20 squad quite a bit. So that's going to be a bit of a sad loss. I think she heads home maybe tomorrow. So, a big loss. But I think from a balance perspective, Heather Graham coming in provides us an extra little seam option and is a really good batting option as well. We've got so much depth in both facets that we're pretty blessed in that regard, that anyone who comes into the squad kind of can fill a gap really quickly. So we're not losing a whole heap. But yeah, Grace's power and an option with spin bowling over in these conditions is definitely a bit of a loss, but HG is going to fill a really good role for us.
Yeah, calf strain for Grace, unfortunately, but we'll see her during the summer. It's hopefully a quick recovery, and look forward to seeing her out there soon. Just on this third one-dayer then, so you guys set, and you got bowled out as well in the 48th over, 412.
Yep.
India, for the most part, looked like chasing it down before falling short themselves, bowled out at the end of the 47th for 369. My question is this. What on earth was going on with that deck?
Right, I did get some advice. Obviously, Mitch played for Delhi Capitals over here, and we've played a little bit of WPL, and sort of like there's no real in between here. It's normally like a really low turning spinny deck, or Mitch said, or it's 400 plays 400, and I sort of laughed and I was like, don't know. And he said, well, do you remember Max? He came out with 9 overs to go and made 100 against the Netherlands, and I went, oh God. So then again, you think about the toss and you're like, okay, well, I know it's going to get better to bat on, but it's probably a good opportunity for us to get out of the heat and let's have a bat, make them sweat it out a little bit. And once we started to get going, I thought 400's on the card here. And then once we started to really get going, 450 was on the card. So we actually felt like we were well short with the bat, which sounds a bit greedy and sounds a bit stupid, but it was true in the end. And when you look up at the scoreboard and the team chasing a 1 for 200 after 20 overs, you feel like you might be in a little bit of strife. So the wicket just seemed to get better and better, and whether there wasn't really dew that came in, but it just seemed to seal under the lights. And I think one of the first deliveries, someone bowled it, Smriti Mandana, who's in ridiculous form, just flew off the bat for 4 or 6, and I went, we're going to have to strap in here, and basically just played an elongated T20 fixture. So that was kind of how we approached it, and fortunately we held on. We bowled a little bit of crap that got some wickets, I think, which sometimes what you need to do on a flat surface when nothing's working for you. So that's basically how we approached it. And And yeah, blimey, I think that's the flattest cricket wicket I've ever played on.
Yeah, to try and put it into context, I go back to my primary school, and our little primary school, Beacon Hill Public, wonderful little place, and we had a little oval. And fortunately, there was just enough room to put a cricket pitch there to play a game at lunchtime or whatever. But, you know, things were basic. So it was just a concrete slab. The pitch was concrete. Yep. Are you saying that Beacon Hill Public School's deck had more life in it than this one that you played an international on?
Legitimately. I mean, the concrete cracks a little bit, and that wicket was like platy and was cracking, crumbling everywhere when we were batting, and then under lights it just seemed to seal, and it was basically the M2 but less truck crashes. So it was just like the flattest wicket that I've ever seen. It was remarkable from a sense that like nothing we tried as a bowling attack worked. I mean, we speak a lot about change of pace and the lengths where we want to bowl, but even the lengths that we were trying to bowl that seemed to be hard work were just flying off the bat. So we just hung tough, honestly, and created enough opportunities to bowl them out. But it did get a little bit tense. When the opposition chasing 413 get the run rate down to 7 pretty quickly, you gotta figure it out. So as a captain, it was tough work, and I needed a break after that. It is for sure.
Is there many times that you've stood out there as captain and gone, geez, I'm down to option... And I'm well down the alphabet here, and I'm almost running out of letters in terms of options that I'm going to?
Well, in the first game, we bowled 8 bowlers. So the only 3 that didn't bowl were me, Phoebe Litchfield, and Beth Mooney. And I think I was the next option. So that could have legitimately happened. Yeah, that would have legitimately happened the other night. But I think I would have gone for 16s. So I probably was not the right option. But honestly, and like, look, I haven't captained a lot of cricket over my time, but I've never really stood there and gone, oof, I'm not sure, or I don't feel like I'm in control at any point. I haven't felt that a lot, especially in one-day cricket. So that was a unique experience, and probably one great learnings for our team that, you know, when we are put under pressure as much as that scenario, we can still hang in there and get the job done. So, we'll see how many 400 scores are par in this tournament.
Well, have you then got ahead of the game and tried to make inquiries about what groundsmen are doing at these venues that you're playing at in the next month or so?
It's hard to know. I think, they're coming off the rainy season here, so it's hard to know exactly what the wickets are going to look like. It's a lot. We get all our information a lot from, men's cricket and men's T20 cricket, because a lot of these stadiums haven't hosted a lot of women's international games, and a lot of their games are played at different times of the year. So a lot of the statistics are a little bit, skewed in that regard. So it's hard to know, but I think once you get there, you have a look and you start playing, you get a good guide as to what's going to unfold and how you need to play. So we'll assess as we go, but indoor, hopefully the first game against the Kiwis, we'll get a really good look at what we're going to get. But then we literally go to Colombo and play at Primadasa, which, spins for fun. So we could get a little bit of everything thrown at us in the first week.
Which is what you want at a World Cup, a bit of variety to find out who truly is the best side. You've got a few days off. You're in the beautiful city of Bangalore. What's on the cards?
A bit of relaxation. Went to wander around a mall yesterday, actually. I went to the right mall this time, so you'll be pleased to know. And thoroughly enjoyed that. But yeah, we love Bangalore. It seems to be one of the cities that everybody loves to come to. There's cafes galore and staying in a beautiful hotel. So we're very lucky in that regard. We can have a few days off, but I think all the ICC commitments start to kick off in the next few days. So everyone's just enjoying that for the moment. And then we'll switch into World Cup mode when we head back and play England on the weekend.
As the captain, you've got to do plenty of media commitments as well. So hopefully you've got all your bog standard answers to the bog standard questions sorted, Heels.
Well, actually, I feel like I'm in a little captain's mode talking to you guys today, so I'll have to try and switch that off in the next day and a half and let rip a little bit more.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, don't you use it on them. Don't save it for us. That's fair. That seems reasonable. Anyway, hold that thought. We'll get back with you shortly. We've got some sundries to get through and your thoughts on the Ashes squad that has been named by England. Snuck up on us. It's like, why are they naming their squad now? And I was like, oh, hang on a minute. We're under 2 months away. So there you go. So we'll get to that. But now we're going to catch up, and I caught up with him 24 hours ago before this recording with Kiwi great Ross Taylor. Ross, thanks for joining us, mate. Really appreciate it. Exciting to be back playing international cricket again, I guess. I'm not sure if you thought this was in your future at any point, but Samoan international, trying to qualify for a World Cup. How'd that come about?
Yeah, as I said, I never thought after retiring 3 years ago, never thought I'd be playing at this level again. But I'm really excited and hoping that I can contribute to Samoan cricket. How it came about, I rang Murphy Sora, former Black Cap. His son's playing in the NRL. He was playing for Newcastle last year. I rang him to see how he went on and just to catch up, really. And he gave me the lowdown on the NRL season and how things are going. And he said, Ross, I'm glad you called. I need to run something past you. He said, Samoa have just qualified to go to the qualifying tournament for the 2020 World Cup. They've checked with ICC. Your 3-year stand-down period ends in April. Would you consider playing? And I was like, absolutely no chance. And then by the time I was picking up my daughter at the time, and by the time I got from the car to her classroom, I was at 25%. So, and as it's morphed out the whole time, I've thought it's a great idea, and I guess that's where I'm here today.
Yeah, wow. Because it's your mother's Samoan, so that's
yes. My mother's Samoan, dad's Kiwi. We were brought up very with a lot of Samoan culture and heritage stuff as youngsters, and I was able. Fortunately, Mum passed away around the similar time, so I asked her about it, and she said, up to you, son, but I know she would have been proud, and we'll be looking down when I pull on the different colour and blue for Samoa.
How good. That's wonderful, and I'm sure it means a lot to your entire family as well. Like Samoan cricket, I mean, what's the background there? We know them as fabulous athletes in your rugby sports, Union League. They're going to maybe potentially win a World Cup in rugby league one day very soon, given all the players that are committing from this side of the Tasman. But cricket, where does cricket come about over there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a minority sport and something that's played in the villages in their own format, which is called kirikiti. It's a long bat that was brought about when the missionaries come in the early 1900s. So, it's obviously dominated by a lot of rugby and rugby league, and we see a lot of rugby and rugby league from Australia and New Zealand going across and representing Samoa, Tonga and things. And I suppose me going across is not different in that regard, but obviously different when it comes to cricket. But hopefully we can give it a bit more coverage, Samoan sport, and in saying that, I think it's not just myself coming across from a test playing nation. I think in years to come, there's 3 or 4 boys who are living in Sydney, Adelaide, and in Brisbane that hopefully in years to come can play for Samoa, and then maybe even go and play for the Black Caps and the Australian teams in time.
Yeah, how good. So this World Cup qualifier, it's for the T20 2026 World Cup. So it's yourselves, Papua New Guinea, Japan, Oman, where it's being held, Nepal, Kuwait, Malaysia, Qatar, and the UAE for 3 spots to get to next year's World Cup?
Yes. So we're in the pool of Oman and PNG. PNG, both of those sides were at the last World Cup, so we've probably got the hardest draw in that regard. But the top 2 from every pool go through to a top 6, and then as you said, the top 3 get the golden ticket to go to the big dance. So first and foremost, hopefully we can get through that first stage. This is the highest ever tournament that Samoa's ever gone to. So it's going to be a little bit different for a lot of these youngsters, but we'll give it our best, and hopefully we can do the country proud. Yeah.
So Joe Burns is obviously with Italy, and he's helped them get there. Is there going to be more of this, do you feel, in terms of, you mentioned you had to have a 3-year stand-down period before you're eligible to play for another nation, but do you feel that, this is a possibility of happening more and more often with guys that have played at the top level for Tier 1 nations?
Yeah, I think so. And obviously with the different nationalities that are playing around the world. I think it is going to grow. And Burnsy coming out, captaining the team, along with some other Australian domestic players, just shows you what you can do when you can increase that depth. And knowing how ICC work, I think Italy, Australia sounds like a pretty cool draw. I'm sure it'll be a little bit strange if Burnsy's singing the Italian national anthem in Mumbai, but I think it's a great story, and cricket to continue to grow. I think we need more of this, and hopefully Samoa and Italy can continue to improve and be competitive as well.
What about if it's Samoa, New Zealand one day?
Well, obviously that's the goal. That would be extremely strange if that was to come about. But at the same time, I think it's a great story, and obviously know a lot of the players very well. So yeah, a lot of water to go on the bridge before that happens, but would be strange but cool.
Well, if it happens, maybe you can get in contact with Hads and just learn a bit about how to sledge a Kiwi, and
I mean, they were world class. Learned a different vocabulary back then.
We'll get into that a bit later. But mate, so when you officially retired from international cricket in 2022, were you one of those cricketers that was done? Thank you, I've done my travelling, I'll just live the family life? Or have you always been attached to cricket? You can't get it out of your system that you want to bounce around the world and play the game?
Yeah, good. Probably a little bit of both, but I think when you've done it from 5 years old all the way through, you're always going to have some attachment, and different players, depending on how big your identity and what you want to do. I feel like I'm a bit of a... Everyone said, would you get into coaching or get into wine? And I said no to both of those, and I've gone into coaching and I've started a wine company. So I feel like I'm... a bit of a liar in that regard, but so I mean, what I found in joining Samoa is never say never, because it's never a truer saying than what I've had to, what I've gone through over the last couple of months in a good way. Okay,
give the wine a bit more of a mention. We've got the crew from Napa Valley over there on the west coast of America involved. They sent us caps, and they're trying to get heels to go over there and play for them in tournaments that are held in Mexico. And I've volunteered as a chaperone, given my love of tequila. I'm not sure if you can see over my right shoulder there, but there's the evidence. But the wine, why, how? Is it enjoyable? Is it profitable? All of those things.
It's. I've always had a love for wine. When I was 14, New Zealand Cricket had a mentor program, and my mentor was a local coach, and we went down to Christchurch I grew up in a place called Masterton, so we don't even have an airport there, so we had to drive to a bigger city to catch it. And I didn't learn much about cricket that day, if I'm honest, but I flew home, and they had wine on the plane. So my mentor was teaching me as a 14-year-old the difference between Sauv Blanc, Chardonnay, and then a Merlot Cabernet. So didn't learn much about cricket, but I learned a lot about wine. Yeah. And I've always had a love for it. Never been a big beer drinker, and when I've lived in Canberra, I played for the Comets. The people I live with drank wine with dinner, and when I went to the UK, so it's always been there or thereabouts. And as I finished, been asked if I would like to have a dabble in it, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I haven't gone into tequila yet, but I've just started a rum and a single malt whiskey company as well. So I've covered most bases so far.
Turning into a walking liquor land. Amazing. It's incredible. Just back to the 14-year-old, it's very French, that. Like, I'm led to believe that French as kids are allowed to sample a bit of wine there. It wasn't any of that. He was merely teaching you, not actually instructing you to neck some Sauv Blanc.
I was more of a inquisitive 14-year-old, and then I've morphed into that more so than him passing it on. my Chardonnay's hopefully coming out soon, so hopefully I can do it justice.
Okay, what's it called? We'll have a look out for it.
It's real original. It's Ross Taylor wines. So we'll have to have a taste off with Ponting, the Australian wines,
yes.
and some New Zealand wine.
There you go. I got a few willing participants that I can think of that can give you the.
Might as well bring Beefy into it as well.
That's who I was thinking. We can just put the blindfold on Beefy, and he can just rate them without looking at who's who in the zoo. So
Beefy loves the New Zealand Shard, so I'd win that one.
Fair enough. Hey mate, let's get to a bit of a few cricket memories. So 112 tests, averaging 45. When you look at that stat, you go, yeah, I'm bloody happy with that. Or did you leave something out there?
Oh, great question. Happy with that? Yes, I think you have to be content once you've finished. Definitely left some out there and things. But if you had told me at the start of the career, I would have been happy to play one test. So to play 112 tests for my country, happy and I guess proud of to have played that many.
One thing I noticed about New Zealand cricket, for as long as I've been around anyway, they've always had at least one or two very, very good players in their lineup and a pretty solid unit across the board. And when I say very, very good players, I'll chuck you in that category as well. For such a small nation, why is that? Because you see other nations of similar population just have a huge lull for 5-10 years, perhaps before a new cycle comes through. But you guys always seem to replace something. Look right now, you got Ravindra coming in right at the end of Kane Williamson's career, for instance. And it's kind of like that continues on, the main scalp in the middle order there. Why is that, do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we get lucky in something that we've always, I guess, been talked about as punching above our weight. We're the size of the state of New South Wales or Victoria. And consistently, probably at least in the last 10 to 15 years, have been very consistent on the international stage. I think it's probably a combination of a lot of things. I wouldn't put it down to one thing in particular, but I hope Kane can go on for a bit longer, as you've mentioned. And Ratchin's what he's shown so far, he's not far behind, and I think for a small nation, we need to be able to get these young players to develop early, and hopefully Kane and that can continue, I guess, push the depth of the other players and show them the way. And if you've got a depth of 4, 6, 7 world-class players, it definitely makes the game of cricket a lot easier.
But beneath that, is it good coaching? Is it the fact that when you're a young player, you don't have to travel too far to play against other good young players? So you've always been pushed in that sense? It's not like Australia where you have to travel across a continent to maybe play the best fast bowler going around?
Yeah, I think in terms of the provinces here in New Zealand, you probably play against men a lot earlier than you would in some of the other places. Myself, I was playing men, 13 and 14 years old. So I think you learn at that age what it takes, and you got the big hairy fast bowler that's coming in and abusing you, and then when you go and play against boys, young men, it's not as intimidating, and whatever they throw at you is not quite the same.
What about the day at the WACA where you faced Mitchell Starc and he got over the 100-mile-an-hour mark, 160.4? Do you remember this delivery, or you only remember it because of the fact that it was that quick?
Yeah, I mean, I only... my memories of it was, I've been batting for a while, so batting becomes easier once you've been in there, especially for a few hours. I think I was on 120, 130 odd. And he's got the new ball. And then I blocked it, didn't feel anything different. And then Warner was at cover, and he's gone, and he starts, whoa, like yahooing, and I'm like, I thought I played that quite well. And then all the boys start going line and stuff, start obviously mentioning how fast it is. So I start looking around, and then I see it on the board. And then I was like, whoa, that was quick. And I felt comfortable throughout that whole innings that day anyway.
Yeah.
But what what people don't realise is that next ball, my feet go nowhere. I'm stuck in the toilet, and then I nicked one, and Marsh sort of gets one hand and it goes for four at gully. So it was just funny how the psychology of how it works. If it wasn't 60 and the boys weren't sort of chipping away, I would have just played the next ball on its merits. But because it was 160, my feet were stuck, went nowhere, dropped, and had a bit of luck. So it's funny how cricket works.
So head noise is a real thing with cricket.
Oh, very much so. As I said, I played it comfortably, and if Warner and the rest of them didn't see the scoreboard, I would have just played the next ball on its merits in a different way. But 160, feet go nowhere, have a bit of luck. Thanks, Mitchell Marsh.
So it didn't feel like, and you've faced some pretty tasty stuff from some of the quickest bowlers of all time, like Shoaib Akhtar, for instance. It didn't feel like, and Mitch as well, didn't feel like, that was so much quicker than anything else I've ever faced.
No, not really. I mean, I faced Tate and Brett Lee bowling 158, 159. It was quick because that spell with the new ball, he was ramping it up. He was probably every ball on that over was 150, 151. But I think when you're talking those speeds, 150 to 160 is just quick.
Yeah. Always liked fast bowling. I mean, that's a weird thing to say. You like fast bowling as a batter, but you were comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think you always embrace it. Obviously, there's that fear element, but I think that brings the best out in the eye. And, I mean, to be a consistent international cricketer, you had to be able to do everything. But no, I enjoyed playing fast bowling. In that test match, Starc was bowling, 150, 160. But what I remember is Tim Southey and Trent Bolt, because of what Mitchell Johnson did in his reputation, they were like, give me Starc. They didn't want to face Mitchell Johnson. I was like, okay, that's fine by me. I'll take Mitch, but it's just funny how the psyche works in terms of how I didn't move my feet after the next ball, but what Mitch did as a player, and how intimidating he was to that fast bowling club. Starc was he's still probably been around for 3 or 4 years at that time, but the fast bowlers were more scared of Mitchell Johnson than Mitchell Starc.
Yeah, so you would say not that you ever got to this, but the bowler most likely to make you shit yourself was Mitch Johnson out of all of those ones that we've just mentioned, or?
Oh, Malinga always that angle. He always found that. But yeah, I mean, as I said, whether you're talking 145, 150, they're all pretty quick.
Yeah.
Especially on those Australian wickets.
No, I can't say I'd agree because I've never faced it, and if I did, I'd be out near the square leg umpire. So, yeah, it's a unique talent that you have to be able to look. What's the process then for anyone listening to this, and if you ever got yourself in the position to face someone 140 plus, what's the process as the bowler approaches the crease about not only just trying to survive but actually flourish?
I guess every batter at international level is different, and being able to do it on a consistent basis, I think probably what makes the Australian players so good when you're facing fast bowling all the time in the nets. You just get better, and you don't even really. It's not. You don't know any different. But for me, it's just your movement shorten up. And you quicken everything up. You don't have big exaggerated backlifts, and trust your process. And as I said, once you come into an innings, the longer, once you've through your first 20 or 30 balls, your movements and you're picking up the ball becomes that much better, and hopefully you're making good decisions and giving yourself the best chance to survive and, as you said, flourish.
Mate, you mentioned before about your average, and do you feel like you left something out there? So 290 in that one. Do you look back and go, geez, a 3 in front of that figure would have been bloody nice?
Yeah, 390. Yeah, I would have taken that. In that game, I mean, I was a big believer in. If you had told me at the start of that game whether I would have got 290, I would have taken it in a heartbeat. High score by a visiting batsman to Australia. But, I mean, would have nice to have got 300, and I'm sure we're in time. Someone will finally knock a 300 in Australia. But no, I think I was on 287, and Trent Bolt was batting, and he told me to hurry up and get to 300, and started playing some reckless shots, and where I probably in hindsight should have told him to don't worry, because I mean he's a pretty good batter, and when he wants to, I just don't think he was just nervous. He didn't want to be the one letting me get stuck on 296 or something. So, and then Kawaja I think did his hammy, and then Wells was fielding at 12th man, so Kawaja wouldn't have got there. So I'll blame Kawaja.
Blame Kawaja's hamstring for not getting a triple ton. Fair enough. I like the rationale. You always did okay against Australia. Did you actually enjoy, relish playing Australia?
I think I love playing Australia, and I think it's just the rivalry. The time zones are very similar. Grew up watching Australian sport. NRL, obviously Super Rugby, and all those things. I used to watch, Boxing Day Test and the Benson Hedges. So I think I always enjoyed wanting to play at those grounds. Adelaide Oval, WACA, the Gabba was a dream as a young Kiwi kid. Obviously to represent New Zealand and play in New Zealand, but I think growing up watching it made me want to go and succeed, and you always sort of thought Australia was a benchmark, and if you could succeed against them, then you're putting yourself in a good position to succeed against other teams around the world.
You play and miss a couple, and Brad Haddin is the recipient behind the stumps, and he just chucks it onto the slips for the ball to go back round. And as that ball's going back round, what kind of advice are you getting from Bradley about your batting technique and where you're at and how you're going in life?
Well, it depends if it's Haddin or Ponting. It was sort of like it was the quickest to come at me. But no, I mean, there was you always knew you were in for a battle. And it probably didn't help with the way I started my routine. Would always wind up the slip cord and how long I took to take guard and do my gardening and things. Yeah. So they used to remind me a lot that the bowlers beep 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 ready. But that's when I knew I was doing my routine well. When they reminded me. Did
they ever try and mess with your routine? Because it's happened to others before.
Yeah, I've seen him mention that. Did he say he wanted to do it to Coley or something? I don't think so.
Jonathan Trott, he did it too.
Yeah. Well, I think he was the only one that took longer to take guard than I did. So, yeah, maybe. I don't know. You'd have to ask Hads that.
Okay. Oh, we'll check back in with him. You mentioned before you had a bit of time with the Canberra Comets. Did you ever cross over with Hads then, or had he gone by then?
No, he'd gone to
New South Wales.
To New South Wales by then, but the opportunity came about before the New Zealand summer, and thoroughly enjoyed it. I was only there for 6 or 7 weeks, and then that was 2005, and made my debut for New Zealand 4 or 5 months later. So must have worked.
You've been involved in some big moments in New Zealand cricket, so I'll give you the option out of these three. So 2015 World Cup final, 2019 World Cup final, 2021 World Test Championship final. Which one could you jump in a time machine and relive and maybe break the laws of time travel and potentially give a little tweak to what happened?
I think 2015, I think we played our final in the semi-final. Yeah, we were completely outplayed, but I think we learned a lot from that and made us, we weren't overawed by the occasion, I don't think, in 2019. 2021, no, I wouldn't change that. Obviously we won and we was able to hit the winning runs, so it would have to be 2019. I mean, I was there to back up Guptill's throw for when he ran out Dhoni in the semi-final, where it hit. And then I was there backing up the throw when Guptill threw and hit Stokes' bat and deflected onto the boundary. So I think I would, if I could go back and change time, I would move Stokes' bat, or hope that Guptill threw it somewhere else. But it was a pretty good game to be involved in, and I think that apart from English fans, I think most of the world cricketers were on our side in terms of the boundary count. So,
you know how much Kiwis and Australians give it to each other, but even I'll say you didn't lose that game, and I will for the rest of time say you didn't lose that game. I don't know if you heard us say it on this particular, but I think even Hads will say that as well. I mean, it was a ridiculous result, a ridiculous way to decide a huge trophy. I don't want to wind you up again, but how long did it take you guys in the dressing room to comprehend what went down? What was that scene like?
Yeah, I think, because obviously we went back out and played the Super Over after what had happened. I think everyone was slightly different in the way they reacted. I was probably a couple of weeks, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
My sleeping patterns were like thinking, what can I have done? I misfielded one off Johnny Bairstow mid wicket, so that was my one run. But then I was LBW going over the top. Mark Wood downhill at Lords. That would have been a leg bye as well, but we'd already burnt the review, and that was only when there was only one review and back then. So it was those little things were going through your mind at the time. But it is what it is, and I guess it was just nice to be able to change the be able to say you finally won one in the same country a couple of years later, because after losing the final, I never thought I'd get the opportunity to maybe rectify it.
Yeah, and that was a huge result in 2021, beating India in a World Test Championship final. But on that 19 World Cup final, did you guys actually know the rule? Like when it all ended, like 15 apiece in the Super Over?
Oh, no, we knew in the Super Over, we knew we had to get the, because we didn't hit enough boundaries. But after Bolt ran out, Wood, I think, was it, last wicket, I went in to the umpires say, thanks, I just presume we were sharing it. I didn't know there was a Super Over or anything. And they're like, no, there's a Super Over. And I was like, okay. So shows you, you get so ingrained in the match and what's happening. And then we've got to go out there and, who we're going to bowl. There's one short end, downhill at Lords. How do you protect that? Those are the things you're sort of going through your mind. Going over and talking to Kane and who's going to bowl and things like that. So, yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting reliving it now too.
Oh, at least the Kiwi got a man of the match in that match.
Hey, yeah, at least there was never going to be any doubt. So, I think Kiwis are living off that one as well.
Fair enough. Okay, let's bring you back here. Winning a World Test Championship final, was that? Where do you put that in terms of overall career and with your mates and all of that? Even though it was the back end of COVID, wasn't it? So it was still a bit of a weird time. But going over there and getting it done against a pretty good Indian attack too.
Yeah, it was. And it was a strange match in that it was a 6-day test. The first day got rained out, and even when we turned up on day 6, it looked like it was heading for a draw. We needed to get early wickets, and yeah, it was. Boys got on a bit of a roll, and Kyle Jamieson bowled like an absolute genius, and had been that whole year. And to come out there and bat with Kane and to hit the winning runs, we shared a lot of great memories, and I guess the ups and downs as you always do as an international team. But to be there with the skipper, had the winning runs after what had happened, as I said, 2 years earlier. COVID, having no family and friends around, only having 25% crowd, and were staying at the ground. Like, I've never played any game of cricket, let alone a World Cup Test final, staying on the ground. So you just walk back to your room and you're not having to go far. I think I fell asleep in my whites. Yeah, it was quite a cool way to finish and finally get one across the line for the country.
Can I say that you've not the first cricketer to fall asleep in his whites after a big win? So yeah.
No, I don't think anyone. I think BJ Watling had the trophy. That didn't get out, so that was good.
Dear. I noticed as well, I've got to touch on this because it's weird. You played IPL as well, and you played some cricket in all parts, in all kinds of uniforms. But I stumbled across a YouTube clip of you hitting sixes for fun on what looked like a basketball court in India, like indoor. Like, it was just weird. And you like just flicking them over, and it's like,
yeah. No, don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. They were huge boundaries. They were 32 meters max.
Oh wow! What on earth is that?
So they call it gully cricket, and it's played with a tennis ball. And there's Aaron Finch, Dan Christian, Sean Marsh, and we're there, and we're looking at it going, what are we doing playing tennis ball cricket in India? But it was actually a lot of fun, and these guys are professional. Like, they go around India playing tennis ball cricket. And so we were a bit nervous, didn't understand. I think Dan Christian got a 10-ball duck in a 10 over 10 over
on that deck.
on that deck, and I just looked at him and he goes, "Mate, that guy's a wizard." So I hadn't played then, so I was nervous, and then I played, and I wouldn't be getting too carried away with the, as you said, 30 meters max.
Did they tape the ball?
Well, that's what my friends and that were sort of giving me a bit of jip about, saying I think I'm going to tape that ball so it actually swings both ways. But nah, it's if you play outdoors, it's quite hard. It's quite a hard tennis ball, and then indoors it's quite soft, so you can't hit it as far. Yeah.
Back to the real stuff. New Zealand about to take on Australia in 3 T20s. I see you guys have lost half your players, so you're going as underdogs and give yourselves no chance. So that's how you roll ahead of that series next week.
Always take the underdog tag, but obviously 2020 World Cup, that New Zealand will be trying to get those combinations, and just with the way the contracts work now, and likes of Seifert, Finn Allen, Kane, Devon Conway, on these casual contracts, it gives opportunities for these other guys to have a go. No, I still think they'll be competitive. We're pretty, we know how to play in these conditions, but I think it's probably a time that both sides want to just try some different combinations leading into that World Cup.
Yeah, well, New Zealand playing a lot of Test cricket next year against Australia and England, which is good, but I don't know if you caught these comments a few months ago. Todd Greenberg, the CEO of Cricket Australia, came out and said, we can't expect these nations who can't offer these big central contracts to just play Test match cricket for fun, like Australia, England, India can afford to do. How do you see the balance in a place like New Zealand in the next decade or so with, balancing the top level of Test cricket with franchise cricket? A guy like Rachin Ravindra could earn untold amount of money playing franchise cricket, but playing Test cricket as well.
Yeah, it's a tough one, and you can understand you want the players to be as loyal as they possibly can, but at the same time they've got to look after themselves and their future and their families. I think that's where these casual contracts become more appealing, and it gives them the opportunity. We sort of have it here in rugby where players are able to go and have what they call sabbaticals and go and play in Europe and Japan in a rugby context. So it's sort of on a bit like that. But I think, playing in England, playing in Australia, playing in India, I think that's still a carrot that players will give up if there's any league to play in that. And For how much longer, I'm not sure, but I think for the next few years, I think players will still want to play in those tournaments. But going forward, I think there's so many different ways that past players and administrators have thought about improving it. But even giving a player $10,000-$20,000 is still not going to cover what they can earn at, when they're probably earning 3 or 4 times that per game. Or 3 hours. I just hope, for the sake of it, that we can find a medium somewhere that the best players are playing and not just the best players that are available. Yeah,
you guys copped not that long ago. On South Africa C coming over for an international tour, it kind of devalues the whole thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I think that's probably generous. A C team,
F.
There was, there was guys that they were pulling out, but hopefully that doesn't happen. And saying that though, credit to South Africa, they won that World Test Championship. They won the games that mattered and won the big prize at the end. But hopefully for world cricket's sake that doesn't happen very often.
Okay. Last one, because I know your thoughts are on getting Samoa to a T20 World Cup, but just after that, there's the small matter of a series between Australia and England, and you got the neutral view here, even though there's a Kiwi influence on England cricket. Are you a believer in Bazball, the notion of Bazball, the ideology of Bazball, or where do you sit on it?
Where do I sit on it? Interesting. I think there's pros and cons. I think there's definitely different ways to play Test cricket. And I still think there's still an element of times of trying to soak it up as well. It's not all about going out. But the Ashes, my son wants to come and watch, so I suppose that sort of shows you where it is in New Zealand's psyche. Obviously, the time zone, as I talked about before, and then Brendan and Stokes' element. I still think Australia are favourites leading in there, but I think this is a big test. I think if England do win, then I think Bazball is, has got something. If not, there's always going to be the question mark.
Did you ever give it to Stokes about, you're one of us when you're out there? Or?
No, I played with him as a youngster.
What was that like?
In Durham. Yeah, he's a talented cricketer back then. He's probably 18. Still even had a little bit of a Kiwi twang back then. So I was like, you want to come and play for New Zealand? But I think he made the right decision, staying and playing in England. But no, I think I think obviously it's called Bazball, but I think Stokes has a big part to play in that. And as we've seen when he's not there, the captains that they have had after him has struggled to have that same presence and attacking mindset that probably comes naturally to Stokes.
So Australia 3-1, can I convince you of that? It'll rain in Sydney, so...
Hey, I don't know. Well, Glenn's already said it's going to be 5-0, isn't it?
Sure.
So, no, I think I'd... no injuries to the Australian bowlers. Yeah, I'd say 3-1.
There you go. Glad we agree. Mate, all the best. We'll be keeping an eye on it on Willow Talk, of course, about who are the nations that get through to the T20 World Cup. The ICC do cop it from time to time about their rules and regulations and how they run things, but I love what they're doing with the T20 World Cup, really opening it up to the world and trying to grow it that way. And we hope, especially after this chat, that Samoa can be there early next year. Good luck with it.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Back with Heels now after catching up with Ross Taylor. Ross Taylor Wines. He's I gave Napa Valley a little mention in there, Heels. Our friends over there. Have they hit you up yet again about, or they're just waiting for you for your international commitments to clear a bit before joining them on the west coast of America?
To be honest, I haven't been on social media a lot, so I haven't heard. And if they have reached out, apologies for not reaching back out. But I think we are due our trip, I would say. Yeah,
exactly. That's one for the future. Willow Talk Tours. There you go, little spin-off. A bit of sad news we'll start sundries with. Dickie Bird, the great umpire icon in his own right, has passed away at the age of 92, which is a fair old innings for the great man. cricketer from Yorkshire. So proud of his achievements as a player and obviously as a leading international umpire for over 2 decades. And yeah, well known. Just a guy that you say the name and then you kind of start to half smile because he was a man that loved his cricket. Heels absolutely loved his cricket, and famous stories of him getting knighted and getting there way before time. You can imagine his enthusiasm, even just going down to watch the Yorkshire second 11 play would have been right there. So some sad news from England overnight. Also from England, Heels, England have named their 16-man Ashes squad. So Harry Brook, vice-captain, no Chris Wokes. But for me, the one that kind of raises an eyebrow a little bit is Will Jacks, who obviously is a spinning all-rounder. So perhaps he's been chosen as a backup, maybe a first choice, not sure. But a guy when he is in the mood with a bat, very much down the line of moving the game forward. What do you make of that?
Yeah, interesting. It kind of, when I look at that squad, it makes me think that they're a little bit worried about their batting. I think that's probably what it screams to me. They're not too sure. Obviously, they've been pretty stable for a period of time, but yeah, that inclusion sort of does surprise me a little bit. Obviously, they rate his off spin because he's quite dynamic with the bat, and they'll obviously want that in their side, knowing the way that they want to play. So, yeah, interesting. Obviously, no Chris Wokes. Surprises me a little bit, but then not completely unsurprising as well. In that sense, they've gone for a lot of out-and-out pace in that side. So, yeah, it was more, I think you summed it up earlier, it more surprised me that they've named it so early, but we are actually not that far away from the Ashes series. So now it's probably been named for them. It's just all systems go that these 16 guys can crack on and get ready to come down under and take on the Aussies. But yeah, interesting looking squad. I think only having really one main spinner in there is an interesting shout.
Yeah, I mean all the pacemen that you thought they were trying to line up, and you could kind of tell what they were doing with their pace attack over the English summer about getting games into players like Jofra Archer and Atkinson. They were trying to win that series, obviously, against India, but they do have depth. I just wonder who their best three are. They know exactly who their best three are before they get here to Australia, or is it a bit of trial and error in the lead up to that first test?
Well, I think they'll know what that looks like, you know, when Jofra Archer's playing, Mark Wood's playing, you know, they're banking on those guys to be sort of the match and the impact sort of players, whether they get through 5 tests. I know there's been a lot of talk about Jofra wanting to do that, but whether those guys can play as many as what they can, it's probably who the third or fourth options are going to be around those guys. And Gus Atkinson's shown that he can do a really good job in that regard. He bowls, you know, really tight lines and with some, you know, decent pace, and Potts has done a similar job as well. But that Josh Tongue, I reckon, adds another little dimension for them. He's not really someone that we see a lot, you know, a guy that angles back into the right-handers a little bit. He's quite tall. He's got a bit of bounce. He's got a bit of pace about him. So I think he's going to be a really good option in Australia, but it's just more sort of that guy that does all the hard work down the other end, which, you know, Chris Wokes has traditionally done for England over the years. They kind of just probably need to nail down that role and let the big, tall quicks that bowl really quick, you know, do their job from the other. Exactly.
At the time of recording, Australia A are almost at the midpoint of their second 4-dayer against India A. I don't know if you caught much of the first one. You've got other things to kind of concentrate over their heels. It's not like you're just around the corner from these guys, even though you're in the same country. But Sam Constas, century in an innings. It's pretty good going.
Yeah, it seemed like
century in a session, I should say.
Yeah. Close enough. I mean, same innings. Yeah, I think it was good hit out for those guys. I think probably the ones that haven't played a lot in India, it was a good opportunity for them to get over there and play against a pretty good side. I mean, Prashad Krishna was opening the bowling. They got a ripping batting lineup, that Indian A side that are putting us to the sword as well. So it's a pretty good matchup. But yeah, to see those guys come out on top, McSweeney's obviously had a pretty good run of it with bat in hand as well. But I think great confidence builder for someone like Sam Constas in those conditions to just go over there, probably get away from everything, get away from the media, get away from Ash's talk, and just go out there and bat and put everything that you've been practicing, on the field. So to see him come away with that, and obviously pretty close to a 50 in the second game as well. It's a good start for him.
Rumours heavy, as we mentioned at the top, that Ravi Ashwin is going to sign a contract to play in the Big Bash. Sixers, Thunder, Strikers, Hurricanes apparently in the mix. You'd love to see him in magenta. I don't know where he's going to land. It's just a good thing that an Indian legend is going to come out and play, unless you've got inside info.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think great opportunity for us to see these Indian players in the Big Bash. Obviously, traditionally it's not been allowed, but him stepping away has probably opened up that window, and maybe it's going to create an influx of more of them to come into our competition. There's obviously a lot of talk of privatisation of Big Bash leagues at the moment, and what that's going to look like moving forward, and how much that might be influenced by India and the IPL. So I think it's really exciting. Obviously, I'd love to see him in Sydney. We've got Babar Azam in the Sixers in magenta this year, so that'd be an interesting dynamic with Ashwin and Babar in one team. But to have him rolling around Sydney, in my mind, I think would be really cool and do wonders for the Indian community, I think in particular in Sydney. So that'd be nice. But where he ends up, we're not 100% sure. But I think it's great to have a name like that thrown around the Big Bash League. I think it's going to do wonders for our game here in Australia.
I've got a little bit of mail that perhaps it's Thunder who are favoured option there. So see how that evolves. We'll see exactly what happens. But as mentioned, be pretty cool to have him here. I don't know if are you turning on the TV much to watch cricket, Heels, or are you just trying to get away from it because the Asia Cup's on at the moment and India are involved and smacking everyone at the moment, and it could end up in a Pakistan-India final, which would be interesting in more ways than one. But is it getting much traction over there?
Yeah, it's obviously we've been playing at night times, but it's sort of been on the TV everywhere we roll, as they do over here. It's either highlights of India beating Australia or the Asia Cup at the moment. So I got a little bit to choose from. So yeah, it has got some traction. I think there was a lot of negativity around the Asia Cup, I think, leading into the tournament, and India's going to smash everyone and no one's going, no one's watching. But I've actually really enjoyed it. I think I got stuck watching Bangladesh play I think Pakistan or something the other night. So that was really cool. But everyone loves seeing India win from over here. But I think it's going to be an interesting sort of finale to the tournament. India will look way too strong for everybody else, but you never really know what's going to happen in a final.
No, true. Heels, we'll let you go. I mean, over there, have they looked after you in the team room and things like that? It's a big thing from an Australian perspective, Australian team to have good coffee available. Are you relying on the cafes of Bangalore, or have you set up your own barista station there?
Well, luckily we have options. Chandigarh, actually, which was the first time I'd been to Chandigarh, I think there was at least 4 cafes within walking distance of the hotel. So that was actually a really nice experience. But Bangalore full of great cafes. But the team room is up and running with our little Lama Zocco machine that we love travelling around with. Alana King's in charge of that one. So she set that up beautifully, and that gets a good hit in the morning, and then everyone gets out for the day and tries the local coffees as well. So we're well balanced, I think I'd say. We're snooty, but we still get out and about and try everyone else's coffee as well. That's
wonderful. Because I read, did I see something once that Elise Perry has like 6 to 8 coffees a day or something, which seems excessive?
I don't know the complete answer to that.
It's a few years ago.
There's a lot of tea drinkers in our side, actually, Adam, and tea's a popular choice for everyone later in the day. I finished with an espresso martini the other night, so I think I'm more of a coffee gal than the tea. But
a real nightcap settler for you before you drifted off to sleep.
Yeah, but everyone knows it's pretty well known that our team loves a coffee, and they'll sniff out any half decent one anywhere we go. So it's always a bit of a who's first in to find the best cafe. I reckon there's a bit of a competition within our group, so it's been good fun.
Heels, great to catch up. Best of luck with the preps. We won't annoy you too much, just occasionally. Hads is on the mend. You'll be happy to hear. We caught up with him the other day. His new heart valve, extraordinary, is going okay at the moment. So he'll be here holding down the fort while you go off and do your thing and go off and win a World Cup and anything to get out of talking to us. Well done.
Yep, appreciate it. It's nice to see you, and look after our mate Hads for us.
We will, absolutely. Cheers, Eels. Have a good one.
See ya.
Yeah, thanks for watching the Willow Talk podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't have to miss an episode wherever you are. And while you're at it, check out these videos up here. They're mostly good.